Hey everybody, welcome back to our community. As you can see with me this week, or this month, I guess, is Kim, the one and only Kim Martin.
The one and only.
Yep, the one and only.
Hey everybody.
We are so happy that you are here with us. And I'm Andy Thornton. I'm the host of our community. And Kim, as everyone knows, is the leader of I've Decided. The author of our article and our weekly winning word, and we're going to talk a little bit about this week, but we were just having some offline conversations. I think they'll probably come up in our conversation here, but Heedful is the word. Where did the word come from?
Well,
Kim?
It's funny, Andy, it's hard to know because we have all of our words set for the whole year.
Yep.
And there's a reason behind that, because it's important to me that there's some divine appointments that happen, right? Like that God has control. So we don't try to finagle the words where they're supposed to be, or
right.
we put them out in a spreadsheet. And throughout the year, people send me text all the time or email. I got a word. I have a word. Yeah. So I've already got 2023 words working.
Nice.
And then we plug them into a spreadsheet, and that's where they are.
They fall
where they fall. And then when they pop up, I'm like, I do the same thing. Heedful. At one point, someone sent me that word, and I thought that would be a great topic. Sometimes I can't remember. Sometimes it's like, why did I think that? But no, I actually really like this word. And you were talking offline before we started this. You and I are the same in the fact that this was something that I needed to work on too.
Yeah.
Just really paying attention. I can get wrapped up in the things that I'm so passionate about for me. And then I can forget about everybody else and not really pay attention to what's going on around me and listening.
Well, I imagine that there's a lot of people out there like us and that are constantly distracted. It's so easy to be, and we talk about this a lot. I think it's becoming more and more easy to be distracted because of just the way our life operates and the amount of distractions that are in our life, and they're so easily to access, right? We always go to our smartphones first, but those things are the devil in my life and in my world. But it's not just that. We become more accessible at work. We become more accessible by all of our friends and our family. Yep. And it's just so easy to be distracted. And when you're distracted, you can't be heedful.
Right.
Right. You can't be, or as I like to put it, be present.
Be present.
Be present where you are, when you are, where God has you, be there. Right. And it is so hard to do.
It is absolutely. Just lose your phone for 5 seconds and see how your heart starts palpitating.
Well,
you're like, where's my phone?
Right.
You can't even, you go into panic mode. So you forget where you are, what you're doing, and what's happening around you until you even find your phone.
Yeah. And then when you get your phone, guess what? You're distracted.
Now you're looking at it.
Because there's notifications all over the place, and you're looking into things. And man, and this is hit me at the right time. You talked about there's not really a plan as to how you put the words together, but they really kind of fall into place for people. And this one has really smacked me in the face. And I was telling you beforehand that just before I even knew the word, I went to church Sunday, and there was a message that was delivered by our pastor. Shout out to Pastor Art at Living Hope Community Church. He's been leading us through a discussion and a series on Ecclesiastes.
Yes.
Which is a really interesting and challenging book to read in the Bible. And the message this week was about, or part of it was about Solomon's message to basically be present.
Yes.
And trust God and know that He's put you where you are and when you are, and there's a time and a place for it. And it's our job to be present and to be understanding that it's delivered by God, right? But that's hard to do. So I got that. Then I get your resource Friday night, and it's the same message, just in a different framework.
Yep.
And I'm thinking somebody's telling me something. Somebody's telling me something that I'm not doing it. And then lo and behold, here we are a few days later, and I've screwed up all week. I have not been present very often.
But that's how we learn and grow, Andy. And thank you, for really sharing that message. As the CEO of the Y, it's hard to think that you're just normal like the rest of us, that you have these everyday issues, right? But everyone. These are concerns that, from the smallest to the greatest, and all in between, we all have the same concerns. Right. We all have the same human struggles.
We do.
And those human struggles are what keeps us from being our best selves.
Yeah.
And so this is how we get better, though. Talk about it.
That's right.
Share. Being open, but like what you're doing. You're sharing your weaknesses.
Be vulnerable.
Right? And have these conversations, because that's what helps people and helps ourselves to be better.
Right. And hopefully, when you're vulnerable, it encourages people like your wife to be forgiving when you forget their birthday.
I still can't believe it. Yes,
it was only for a couple hours.
Oh my goodness. Yes. Dawn, your wife, bless her, she's graceful, and I'm sure you made it up, and you guys have been married a long time. So she knows your heart.
Sure.
And so that's good.
Sure. But that's still,
I know it's still it's still not good, right. But you said you made it up. So
I did.
I hope so.
I love you, Dawn. I love you, Dawn.
That's awesome. But it happens. It happens.
So let's talk about Heedful and what it means. And you wrote another great article, the benefits of being heedful, and then some strategies to be better at being heedful. So let's just work through that.
Sure.
Okay. And so, in your article, you talked about, and I love the quotes that you shared in your article too. And I'm just going to touch base on them and just bring them to light. The first one was by Maura Thompson, right?
Yes. She wrote that review in the Harvard Business Review.
Okay. So share the quote.
Yeah. She says, to control your life, control what you pay attention to.
Right.
Your attention determines the experiences you have, and the experiences you have determine your life.
Yeah.
That was so powerful to me.
It is.
Where is your attention?
Yep.
Where are you
spending your time?
What are you heeding?
Through Facebook?
Right? I just got chills. I mean, it's just so true.
Or are you investing in your family who needs you right now in some capacity? Or are you investing in the people that you work with? Right? Where are you putting your importance? Right? And I think that that's so powerful and such a true statement that whatever you're focusing on, that's what's controlling your life.
And that's what you're going to get.
Right.
It's so simple and so complicated all at the same time.
Yep. The other quote which was, I think, by somebody named William James. I don't know who this is, but
I have no idea who he is either. But his quote was great.
It's more succunt.
Yeah.
Right? It's easier to remember. My experience is what I agree to attend to. I like that one. It's like 6 words.
Yeah.
I can remember that one, but it's saying the same thing just in a different way. Right. You're going to get out of it what you put into it.
Yep.
And it's so important. I think we have to remind ourselves of that. As we're all going to be distracted at some point, how quickly can we realize it and can we turn away from it?
It's self-awareness.
Yeah.
And really that's what it's about, because we're not going to cure all of our human issues and concerns and problems.
No.
Well, that would make us perfect.
Right. And we
can't be perfect. We shoot for perfection, right? To try to be the best that we can, but we're still going to fall short. And so, but it's about that self-awareness, so that when you realize that you're not being in the moment, that you're not being heedful, then you can go, okay, I need to step back and get back to where I need to be.
Right. And like in my experience this week, I was committed to thinking about the importance of being present, being heedful. First thing Monday morning, get up. Hey, I'm going to go back to those sermon notes from yesterday because that was so powerful. And then an hour later, I'm lost again.
Right.
So you got to continue.
That's when you realized it was Dawn's birthday?
Yeah.
An hour later.
Yeah. About 2 hours later.
2 hours later.
But, that's just a perfect example of how easy it is to lose sight of it. And we've got to continue to remind ourselves and fight against that constant distraction that is there for us. And I think I don't know if I'm right or not in my belief, but I think it's just easier to be distracted today than what it was maybe 50 years ago.
Oh, well, of course it's easier, because it doesn't take discipline to be distracted. Right? Sure. I mean, there's no discipline required when it comes to distractions. And so to be present in the moment requires discipline. It requires for you to be mindful, intentional. It's just a harder course. So it's so easy to just be distracted. It's a great excuse. It's super easy. And it really isn't it's the new addiction. It's the addiction that we struggle with because it's our escape from reality. So you may not be, we think about someone who escapes through drugs, addiction, nicotine, things like that, shopping, whatever that there's
social media is on that same level.
It totally is. And so it's an escape for people.
So it begs the question, and I know how I feel about this, and I don't want to get down this rabbit hole too much because it really is a rabbit hole. I think there's some intention behind the development of those distractions. Don't you believe that?
Well, of course. That's called marketing.
Right. But it's like but I think there's some purposeful intention to distract us as much as possible from the reality that's really going on around us, so that we don't realize it.
Yeah, there's movies out there about it. It's kind of creepy.
Sure there are.
I mean, it really is kind of creepy. But yeah, that's a whole nother topic in itself. But that's why, you have to, it's brainwashing, right? I mean, if you think about it, my early career before I got into curves or anything, I worked in retail. I was a manager for the Gap. They played very specific music. And I'm sure retailers still do today. They have certain colors. They play specific music because it's subliminal message that gets you to spend more money or encourages you to feel good about yourself so that you want to shop and buy something. And so that's always been a part of it. And in simple terms, it's brainwashing. And so we're brainwashed by the roads, the signs, the billboards that we see. We're brainwashed by what we pay attention to on TV. And sometimes people don't want to believe that, but it is the truth.
I believe it's the truth.
I 100% believe it's true. And I'm like, they're not brainwashing me. I'm sure I'm brainwashed to a certain degree in certain areas. We all have some of it. We can't help it. Even as parents, we brainwash our children.
Sure we do.
It's control. It's a control issue, right? We need to control their behavior when little. We don't want to be embarrassed and little Johnny have a fit at the mall in front of everybody, and then we look like a loser parent. So we have to control them, and we manipulate them, and it's just it can really.
Yeah, well, I said we wouldn't go down this rabbit hole too far, so let's
get
stop
back
there and let's start talking about some of the positive things around this weekly winning word of heedful. So just to define it, the way that you did in your article, which is pretty simple, is to be aware of and attentive, right? And that's important.
In tune, dialed in.
Yep, and that's what the word means. You have to be aware of where you are and what it is that you're doing, right? And be attentive to that. So let's talk about these benefits that you outlined of being heedful. So the first one is, when you're more heedful, you're going to be more productive.
Absolutely.
Talk to us a little bit about that.
So I think, you're either going to learn the hard way or you can seek advice. And who do you seek advice from? Well,
mentors,
right? People. I would say I would seek advice from someone who has successfully accomplished what I'm trying to achieve.
Right.
Don't talk to me if you hadn't successfully accomplished it. We can have a fun conversation around our woes and issues and what we're going through. But it's very difficult to tell someone what they should do when you really haven't experienced it, right?
Right. And I think there's lots of people out there that want to give us advice.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Just ask them. Somebody's going to tell you what they think. But if they don't have the real experience, you need to steer away from
Absolutely. That. One of the greatest gifts that I feel God gave me that I heeded to was I used to go every year when my daughters were little. I went to the Moms and More conferences every year.
Okay.
And
I'm not familiar with that.
I cannot tell you how the impact that had on me, because the speakers were typically women. They were all women. It was a women's conference that had experienced already exactly what you're going through. And even when Joe and I got married, I went the year before we got married, and there was a topic on blended homes. And it's like this woman had already experienced in a blended family. They'd been married for like 20 years. This, the children were grown. Right. It's like, okay, that's who I want to be heedful to. That's who I want to learn from. I don't want to learn the hard way. I mean, obviously we're still going to learn the hard way in a lot of things, but if you can seek that advice, you're going to just be more productive because you're not going to waste your time, redoing all the mistakes. Somebody else has already made the mistakes. Learn from them.
That's right. Right. And I think that look at it from the framework of being a parent, right? We talk to our kids all the time about, hey, the thing that you're going through, I've been through it, right? And usually as a child, you resist some of that advice, right? Because it's parental advice.
They're not going to,
But that's it, right? You've lived it. You've learned through that process. Now you want to share it.
And you're dying to share it. And if only they would listen.
And there's people out there, even from a professional experience, who have already been down this road.
Yep.
Seek guidance from them. And when you do that, you're going to be more successful.
Yep. And you're going to be more productive. That's exactly what I was trying to say. So, you got it.
Yeah. and the next benefit is you're going to learn more through that process. And it's the same conversation I think we just had, is when you're going through that process and talking with those people and gaining that advice, you're blessed if you'll accept it to learn more through that process.
Yeah. And so you're going to learn more. If you pay close attention, you won't miss the important details. Right. It's not missing those important details. If your mind is somewhere else, you're going to miss the important details. And the next thing you know, you're going to be like, wait, where was I? What was I? And all the details are gone. And it kind of comes back to that productivity and just learning more. It kind of goes hand in hand, right?
Yep. The other thing is when you're heedful, you're more clear about what's going on. Right?
Absolutely.
And I like the way you frame this up. Active listening. Active listening is a skill set that I think you have to put time into training yourself on how to do that. So one of the things that I've had some experience in doing through my work in the Y is to learn how to be an active listener, right? They've provided us with resources and trainings to do that, because it's so important when you're talking with somebody in the YMCA who's a new member, right? They come to the Y, they're coming for a reason, right? We've had this conversation offline before. They're coming into our building for a reason. If they're thinking about being a member, they're pretty much already decided that they want to do something different with their life, right? So we have to understand why they came in and make sure that we listen. And there's a skill set when an active listener, right, of basically reaffirming everything that person's telling you. You're listening to them, you're talking back to them, making sure that they know that
you're repeating back what they said.
And that is so important. And a lot of people that I come across, they don't listen. I have somebody in my life now that when I sit and talk with this person, I know that this person is thinking about what they're going to say before I'm ever done saying. So they're not listening to me. And that frustrates the heck out of me. It's disrespectful when you don't listen to somebody and give them that courtesy. I think it's so important.
Yeah. And one of the things that I've learned about active listening, and this is one that I struggle with too, because I think if you're a super passionate person, let's just say that, then you get so excited.
Is that what you are?
Yeah. We'll just say that. You get so excited about something, and then you just kind of overpower the situation instead of just taking back. And you could just, it really impacts what you get from it when you do that, and so it's okay to be passionate. It's okay to get excited, but you do have to take a step back and listen to what people are trying to say, because you'll miss some of my hardest lessons have been especially when I was younger. Someone would say, you really didn't listen to what I said. You just told me what you were going to do, but that's not what I was asking you to do. And you feel bad. I feel bad because that's not my intention.
No,
my
not
heart
at all.
is not. And so, but it's the best lessons when someone's honest and, and you recognize, you're like, yeah, I probably, if I'm honest with myself, I didn't, because I just was so excited about wanting them to get what I was telling them that I didn't listen.
Right.
And so that active listening is something, you're right. It's a learned behavior that we all can improve upon. But one of the best things for me about that is, I put this in the article. It says when you actively listen, it improves your ability to connect the information being received to the ideas you already have.
Right.
So it's kind of like when you get passionate about your idea and you just want to sell someone that idea. If you actively listen to the person you're trying to sell the idea to, now you can connect.
Yeah.
And that's
and
so
you can
important.
find alignment that will help them become more passionate about it as well, because you understand better about how they're approaching it. And that's the piece. That's the piece. So when somebody, for the example of, somebody coming into Y or somebody coming into the Curves to buy a membership, if you know why they're there, you can connect them to some part of the organization or the culture within the organization that's going to give them the most satisfaction.
Yep, that's right.
And that's what's going to keep them coming and build that relationship. And I think people respond to that positively. And they may not even know what's going on, but they respond to that because they feel appreciated.
They feel good.
They feel listened to. You heard me.
Yes.
And that's important. And normally people don't listen very well. And so I think people recognize it much quicker when you take that approach. So the last benefit that you talked about was, it's just going to improve your overall experience.
Yes.
And that's so important.
Because you're right here, right now, right? You're paying attention to the people around you, the environment. It just helps your experiences just be that. It enhances every situation you encounter, because it'll, it piques all of your senses and just creates that.
Well, and when your experience is better, the people around you experience is better. So think of it from the perspective of being a leader. I'm a leader at the YMCA because of my job and because of the responsibilities that I have. I'm a leader. If my experience is good, and if I'm including the people who I work with in that, it's going to make their experience better. They're going to feel better about what it is that they're doing to help, serve the mission of the YMCA, because they can see that reflected through me. And I have to be intentional and heedful and present and in the moment with those people to help them to see that. And hopefully, because of what I'm doing, it's encouraging them to do the same thing. And that just
active listening goes both ways, right? It's respect is that two-way street, right?
Sure. Absolutely, it is.
Awesome.
Okay, so tell us how we can be more heedful. We know all the great things of it. We just talked about
those are just a few of the benefits. Obviously, we could write a book about the benefits of paying attention and giving your clear attention to things. I mean, people who are heedful are more successful in achieving their goals and dreams. It's just the bottom line.
Right.
And so obviously we want to practice being more heedful.
Right.
Okay. And how we can do that. Well, we've already talked about this, so we really don't have to spend a ton of time, because I think you kicked it off when you talked about living in the moment.
Yep.
So
be present,
stay in the moment. It reduces our anxiety. I think a big cause of anxiety is worrying about things that haven't happened yet. And we're all guilty of doing it. And like we talked about with all the information that's coming at us, we might call it distractions. But on the same time, our brain is absorbing that information. So we're getting information at such a rapid rate in comparison to what it was 50 years ago, or even 20 years ago, or even 15 years ago. And so our brain is trying to process that, and it causes us to worry. And that's why anxiety is so high right now. I believe it's a huge reason why anxiety is so high. I mean, teenagers, think about what our teenagers see. They're seeing every bad thing that's happening in the world. Every bad thing. We're about the same age. When you and I were young, we only knew what bad thing happened on the block.
Right.
Within our home, within our own little community, our school. We didn't, and a lot of times nothing bad was happening. It was good stuff. So we had a lot of days where we didn't get bombarded with bad things. But then something bad would happen. Little bits to and that's how you start to recognize the world and things like that. But young people are not designed to take on that kind of grief.
It's trauma.
They are so they have such empathy with their young minds. And some, I know adults are empathetic too in some degree because it's a gift. Some people are more than others, but young people especially, because they're still naive to a point where they haven't been, you know what I mean? They just believe the best in everybody. And they feel so bad for everybody. And so when they take on all the badness that's happening in the world, it's almost like it's happening to them. But we humans, we all do that to a certain degree. As adults, we kind of live long enough to separate ourselves a little bit. I'm going down a whole nother path, but
you're right.
So anyway.
But getting back to it, if you want to be more heedful, you got to stay in the moment, right? You have to be present.
Yep.
And the point that I made earlier about the sermon, right, on Sunday, where this first hit me before I even got your weekly reading word, and I just want to share it, that from the book that we're studying is in Ecclesiastes, written by Solomon, right? And the verse was towards the tail end of that. It's verse 22, and I'm not going to be able to quote it for you. I didn't bring it, but the message was this: that Solomon concludes that our best response is to rejoice in our day-to-day living, right? And the point that I wrote down was, our highest duty, our top priority, is to live under the smile of a good God and know that He's put us here for a reason. Where we are right now, you and I sitting in this studio recording this, is for a reason.
Absolutely.
Right? So why wouldn't we be present in that moment when we know that God put us here?
Absolutely.
And that just smacked me right in the face.
Well, that says it all. Stay in the moment.
Yeah.
Stay in the moment.
Yeah, always, because it's the moment was created by our Creator for a reason, and we have to be present in it. If we're not doing it justice.
Right.
Okay, the next one: engage.
Yes.
Right. Have meaningful conversations with the people you encounter.
Yes. Ask questions. Be curious.
Yep.
Learn not just the superficial stuff.
Right.
Dig deep. Dig deeper. Yes, I love that. That says it all. Just dig deeper and get to know who you are talking to.
Yep.
And I just think that is, engaging.
Yep.
We're losing the art of that too.
We are.
We are. We really are, because it's,
we're ready to move on to the next thing.
Yeah. How's the weather?
We don't have
Great.
time for that.
Yeah.
Right?
And so they don't really even want to know. It's amazing to me. I talk to my daughters and they for example, if they've been, Katie has a high school sweetheart she's dated for 2 years, and it's like, oh, so what does he do? She's like, I don't know. I'm like, what?
Yep.
How can you not know? We haven't talked about it.
Yep.
Or my daughter, at WVU, who has a roommate that she's been friends with since her freshman year. I'm like, what does her parents do?
Don't know.
Have no idea.
Yep.
You haven't even asked. You've met her parents.
Yep.
They've taken you out to dinner. Don't know, don't care.
Yeah.
I don't know if they don't care.
Those are great examples, and we're all like that. I can think of people in my life where I don't know diddly squat about them because I don't take the time to ask.
Yeah.
And to have that conversation. I just want to move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Because I got to get something else done. And a lot of times that something else really doesn't matter. Yeah. It just doesn't matter as much as getting to know you better and learn more about you and how can I help serve you.
Absolutely.
Or how can you help serve me so that we can do what we're here to do, which is to make the world better.
Yeah. I think I'm so curious. I love people, and I'm just so curious that I'm pretty good. I mean, I want to know. I literally, we were visiting my daughter in West Virginia this past weekend, and I met one of her friends. We were out golfing. And, by the time we're done, I know who he is, how old he is, when his birthday is, what his parents do, where he's from, what he's, going to school for, what his hopes and dreams are. Because Kinsley at one point was like, Mom, stop asking so many questions. Yep. I'm like, no, I want to know.
Yeah.
I'm curious. Like, who are you?
And I think when you take that approach, people feel better.
Yes, they absolutely.
Because you've taken the time and you've shown that interest.
I wasn't I wasn't hammering.
Right.
We were having, it was all in conversation.
And when people have the opportunity to talk about themselves in that way, it makes them feel better because somebody cares about them, right?
And that's they can relax. And
so stay in the moment, engage, and then here you go, take a break.
We forget, we are so busy.
Yeah.
And, you got to rest. You got to take a break. In fact, this can be looked at upon as like, on Labor Day, I literally stayed on the couch almost all day. I think I got up to eat. I did change over a load of laundry maybe, but most of the day I stayed on the couch and just kind of vegged out. And I planned for it. I'm like, I'm just going to rest. It could be that, but it could just be, they say, meaning research and people that do studies like this, say that for every hour you work, you should take a 10-minute break. Yeah. People that take a 10-minute break every hour get more done. Yeah. And I believe that.
Yeah. I think it's probably true too. I'm horrible at it myself. It's usually just go, and get distracted and lose track of what you're doing and then start over type of thing. And I think it's so important. The rest is important. It allows you to focus more. Right, it's going to allow you to be in the moment, to engage with.
You can be more heedful
to re-energize
if you take a break, because you can only absorb so much, and then you're going to mentally check out anyway.
Yeah, and in reality, one of the things I wrote down is the rest is just as important as the work.
Right, work hard, rest hard. I say it all the time.
You have to treat it that way, I think, but it really is so hard to do, but it is so important.
Yep.
And then the last thing is make sure you've got some goals set.
Yeah, I don't know how you can really truly be heedful if you don't know where you're going.
Yeah.
How do you know what's an opportunity or what's a distraction?
Right.
You really wouldn't be able to decipher between the two, because I always say the devil shows up in sheep's clothing, so distractions can be good things. It doesn't mean, right, that it's a bad thing. It just may not be the right thing.
Right.
If you know where you're going.
Right. And when you have those goals and when you're measuring your success, you're going to be so much more successful. If you don't take time to measure it, it's going to be impossible.
Yeah. It's impossible to manage what you don't measure.
There you go.
So there has to be some type of a goal. Yep. You have to have some kind of a goal and understand what you're going to do so that you can
stay in the moment.
Yes.
Engage, take a break, and set some goals.
Yep. Those are just some ways.
And then rinse and repeat. Right?
Absolutely.
Good stuff.
That is good stuff.
Well, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you for joining me today. It's always good to bring the queen out.
To
be a part of the podcast every now and then, and just hear it straight from, as they say, the horse's mouth.
Yeah. Right? Well, it's always fun. I think you and we're very like-minded people. So we have good conversation. Yeah, it's always super
good. Different levels of energy. Yeah. Right.
But very like-minded.
Very like-minded.
But also, so what's going on at the Y? Because I know I'm going to attend something there on Saturday.
Oh yeah, we have our big.
It might be too late for people. But.
No, you're not too late. You know somebody that can help you. Our big fundraiser is back. It's been 3 years since we've done this thing.
What?
Yeah.
I feel like we got to come last year, no? Joe and I've been to how many of you had 2 so far?
No, we've had
3. Soirees?
4.
Oh, has it been 4?
4. This will be the 5th.
Maybe we missed one.
But we took 2 years off.
Okay.
As you know why.
Yes.
Right? COVID wrecked it. And we're back this year. We're expecting close to 200 people on the pool deck at the Y for a nice little gathering with some music, and some food and some drinks and just a laid back. This is one of my favorite events, and it's not because it's the Y. It's just laid back.
It really is a fun event. I love the name. It's a soiree.
Yeah.
So you get to put on a cute sundress, and for the girls anyway, we get to put on.
It's a casual event.
Casual, but it's like
you're on the beach, but you're sitting by the pool, and nobody's in the pool, and it's a fundraiser for us. It's a really significant fundraiser, and so, which is important. It helps us fuel our mission, which is to serve the community, and we've got some really neat things that we're going to talk about this year. So we've got a new initiative that we want to roll out into 2023, and we're going to ask people to support that. I'm really excited about that, of basically taking the Y on the road. That's the theme of it. And that's the teaser.
Okay.
Right, for those that are coming. And those that aren't, there'll be some opportunities to jump on board after we have the soiree. But really excited for that.
Yeah, I'm excited.
It's going to be great weather. 85
it sounds like it's going to be beautiful.
Might be a little warm, but
might be a little warm, but when the sun goes down, it'll be fine. Awesome.
And the music's great, the food's great, and the company's going to be great.
Yes. So, if you want to get some tickets, you might call the Y and.
Yeah, but you're gonna have to call me. Because we have commitments to keep with our caterer, right?
Oh boy, yeah. So if you really want to go, reach out and say, I need to talk to Andy about Saturday soiree.
Yeah, call Andy. We might have a few.
Although Joe and I are taking a couple. So.
Thanks for joining me.
Yeah,
Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you next month here on our community.